Hari Om all. We begin by chanting.
Bhadram karnebhih shrunuyama devaha Bhadram pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangaistushtuvagonsastanubhih Vyashema devahitam yadayuhu Swasti na indro vruddhashravaha Swasti nः पूषा विश्ववेदाः Swasti नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः Swasti नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः अथाश्वलायनो भगवन्तं परमेष्ठिनमुपसमेत्योवाच अधीहि भगवन् ब्रह्मविद्यां वरिष्ठां सदा सद्भिः सेव्यमानां निगूढाम् यया चिरात् सर्वपापं व्यपोह्य परात् परं पुरुषं याति विद्वान् तस्मै सहोवाच पितामहश्च श्रद्धा भक्तिध्यानयोगादवैः न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानशुः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते यद्यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्त विज्ञान सुनिश्चितार्थाः सन्न्यासयोगाद्यतयः शुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोकेषु परान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे विविक्तदेशे च सुखासनस्थः शुचिः समग्रीव शिरः शरीरः अत्याश्रमस्थः सकलेन्द्रियाणि निरुध्य भक्त्या स्वगुरुं प्रणम्य हृत्पुण्डरीकं विरजं विशुद्धं विचिन्त्य मध्ये विशदं विशोकम् अचिन्त्यमव्यक्तमनन्तरूपं शिवं प्रशान्तममृतं ब्रह्मयोनिम् तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकं विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम् उमासहायं परमेश्वरं प्रभुं त्रिलोचनं नीलकण्ठं प्रशान्तम् ध्यात्वा मुनिर्गच्छति भूतयोनिं समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः परस्तात् स ब्रह्मा स शिवः सेन्द्रः सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट् स एव विष्णुः स प्राणः स कालोऽग्निः स चन्द्रमाः स एव सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्च भव्यं सनातनम् ज्ञात्वा तं मृत्युमत्येति नान्यः पन्था विमुक्तये सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि सम्पश्यन् ब्रह्म परमं याति नान्येन हेतुना आत्मानमरणिं कृत्वा प्रणवं चोत्तरारणिम् ज्ञाननिर्मथनाभ्यासात् पाशं दहति पण्डितः स एव माया परिमोहितात्मा शरीरमास्थाय करोति सर्वम् स्त्रियन्नपानादिविचित्रभोगैः स एव जाग्रत् परितृप्तिमेति स्वप्ने सजीवः सुखदुःखभोक्ता स्वमायया कल्पितविश्वलोके सुषुप्तिकाले सकले विलीने तमोभिभूतः सुखरूपमेति पुनश्च जन्मान्तरकर्मयोगात् स एव जीवः स्वपिति प्रबुद्धः पुरत्रये क्रीडति यश्च जीवस्ततस्तु जातं सकलं विचित्रम् आधारमानन्दमखण्डबोधं यस्मिन् लयं याति पुरत्रयं च एतस्माज्जायते प्राणो मनः सर्वेन्द्रियाणि च खं वायुर्ज्योतिरापः पृथिवी विश्वस्य धारिणी यत्परं ब्रह्म सर्वात्मा विश्वस्यायतनं महत् सूक्ष्मात् सूक्ष्मतरं नित्यं तत्त्वमेव त्वमेव तत् जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्त्यादि प्रपञ्चं यत् प्रकाशते तद्ब्रह्माहमिति ज्ञात्वा सर्वबन्धैः प्रमुच्यते त्रिषु धामसु यद्भोग्यं भोक्ता भोगश्च यद्भवेत् तेभ्यो विलक्षणः साक्षी चिन्मात्रोऽहं सदाशिवः मय्येव सकलं जातं मयि सर्वं प्रतिष्ठितम् मयि सर्वं लयं याति तद्ब्रह्माद्वयमस्म्यहम् अणोरणीयानहमेव तद्वन्महानहं विश्वमहं विचित्रम् पुरातनोऽहं पुरुषोऽहमीशो हिरण्मयोऽहं शिवरूपमस्मि अपाणिपादोऽहमचिन्त्य शक्तिः पश्याम्य चक्षुः सशृणोम्य कर्णः अहं विजानामि विविक्तरूपो न चास्ति वेत्ता मम चित्सदाहम् वेदैरनेकैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम् न पुण्यपापे मम नास्ति नाशो न जन्म देहेन्द्रियबुद्धिरस्ति न भूमिरापो न च वह्निरस्ति न चानिलो मेऽस्ति न चाम्बरं च एवं विदित्वा परमात्मरूपं गुहाशयं निष्कलमद्वितीयम् समस्तसाक्षिं सदसद्विहीनं प्रयाति शुद्धं परमात्मरूपम् यः शतरुद्रीयमधीते सोऽग्निपूतो भवति सुरापानात् पूतो भवति ब्रह्महत्यात् पूतो भवति कृत्यात् पूतो भवति तस्मादविमुक्तमाश्रितो भवति अत्याश्रमी सर्वदा सकृद्वा जपेत् अनेन ज्ञानमाप्नोति संसारार्णवनाशनम् तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं कैवल्यं फलमश्नुत इति पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदम् पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ ईशावास्यमिदगो सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथा मा गृधः कस्य स्विद्धनम् कुर्वन्नेवेह कर्माणि जिजीविषेच्छतगो समाः एवं त्वयि नान्यथेतोऽस्ति न कर्म लिप्यते नरे असूर्यानामते लोका अन्धेन तमसावृताः तागुस्ते प्रेत्याभिगच्छन्ति ये केचात्महनो जनाः अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयो नैनद्देवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत् तद्धावतो ज्ञानत्येति तिष्ठत्तस्मिन्नपो मातरिष्वा दधाति तदेजति तन्नैजति तद्दूरे तद्वन्तिके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तदु सर्वस्यास्य बाह्यतः यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतान्यात्मन्येवानुपश्यति सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं ततो न विजुगुप्सते यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतान्यात्मैवाभूद्विजानतः तत्र को मोहः कः शोक एकत्वमनुपश्यतः सपर्यगाच्छुक्रमकायमव्रणमस्नाभिरगो शुद्धमपापविद्धम् कविर्मनीषी परिभूः स्वयं भूयाथा कथ्यतोऽर्थान्यदधात् शाश्वतीभ्यः समाभ्यः अन्धं तमः प्रविशन्ति ये विद्यामुपासते ततो भूय इव ते तमो य उविद्याया गुरताः अन्यदेवाहुर्विद्यया अन्यदाहुरविद्यया इति शुश्रुमधीराणां येनस्तद्विचचक्षिरे विद्यां च यस्तद्वेदो भयगुसः अविद्यया मृत्युं तीर्त्वा विद्ययामृतमश्नुते अन्धं तमः प्रविशन्ति ये सम्भूतिमुपासते ततो भूय इव ते तमो य उसम्भूत्यागुरताः अन्यदेवाहुः सम्भवादन्यदाहुरसम्भवात् इति शुश्रुमधीराणां येनस्तद्विचचक्षिरे सम्भूतिं च विनाशं च यस्तद्वेदो भयगुसः विनाशेन मृत्युं तीर्त्वा सम्भूत्यामृतमश्नुते हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखम् तत्त्वं पूषन्नपावृणु सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये पूषन्ने कर्षेयमसूर्यप्राजापत्यव्यूहरश्मीन् समूहतेजो यत्ते रूपं कल्याणतमं तत्ते पश्यामि योऽसावसौ पुरुषः सोऽहमस्मि वायुरनिलममृतमथेदं भस्मान्तर्गुं शरीरम् ॐ क्रतो स्मर कृतगो स्मर क्रतो स्मर कृतगो स्मर अग्नेन यसुपथाराये अस्मान् विश्वानि देववयुनानि विद्वान् युयोध्यस्मज्जुहुराणमेनो भूयिष्ठां ते नम उक्तिं विधेम.
We have important announcements at the end of the session today. So we request you all to kindly remain online for a few minutes after the talk. This event is hosted by Vedanta Institute Kolkata and Indica Moksha. We now request Shri Ramaswamy to address us.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. On the auspicious eve of Deepavali, we salute all the great masters who have kept this knowledge and tradition alive for us to continue as human race. Now, the Hindu life in general, private and public life, is punctuated by rituals, festivals, right from, we can say, from womb to tomb, right from the day that he is born, or rather even before that, even as a child is conceived, there are certain samskaras, certain rituals that are performed at the 3rd month, then 6th month, then coming out of the child in this form of birth of the baby. And then you will see that till the time the journey is over and culminating in the death of that physical body, there are so many rites and rituals that are there in one's life. The first time the child is going to eat, that is a grand celebration and festival. Akshara Abhyasa, or the writing or starting of the school, that is celebrated. The growing up, coming of age, then marriage, then at various stages, a person who has completed then 60 years, 80 years, at every stage of life, what is known as this ashrama, that is also being celebrated. Death is also celebrated. We are not saying that people don't feel sorry when a person dies in the family, but a person who has lived a complete life, there are various, of course, ceremonies that are performed. Along with that, certain way of celebration is also there. Distribution of gifts are there for the whole village or for the family members. So we see that this is a way of our life. Certain things are practiced on a daily basis. Certain rites and rituals are there on a weekly and fortnightly basis, monthly basis. Suppose some people observe Ekadashi Vrata twice a month. There are some tarpan that we do for the forefathers once in a month. Then there are festivals and rituals that are there throughout all months of the year. And there are certain important functions and festivals at, as I said, in different stages of life also. Now, why is it so? See, there is a purpose for which human birth is given to us. All other creatures like animals, they are born they exist and they die. We also follow that pattern as far as our physical body is concerned. But our lives are considered different from that of other creatures, from those of other creatures. What is the difference? Is that we can ask this question as to what is the purpose of our life. We can try to find out the answer for that. We can try to align our lives in line with that specific target or goal of life. In other words, Vedanta says there is one particular goal of life for everybody. There can be various goals in life, different goals for different people, but it points out that the goal of life is one and the same for all, which is to find out our own real identity, find out who we really are, realize the self. This is what is indicated by our rishis. Now, all will not suddenly get that inquiry and vichara and then want to plunge into that. It is not possible. So what ingeniously the rishis did was that in and through our life, they set the pattern in such a way that constantly we are reminded, and even if our attention goes elsewhere, there is a process by which it is brought back to this main purpose of life. So you will find that various gods, various goddesses, various methods of celebrations, various rites and rituals, because the human nature or the mind of the human nature, nature of the human mind is multifarious. It pursues various things. Some may pursue wealth, some may pursue knowledge, some may pursue success, some may pursue various things that we pursue in life. In and through all these pursuits, how can we bring them back to the focus? So in a way, a great master said that Hinduism acts like a multi-speciality or a super speciality hospital, where even if you argue that the root of the disease is the same, the manifestation of the disease for various people are in, let us say, various parts and coming up with various symptoms. So they need to be treated accordingly. So Vedanta says, even if ignorance is the cause, the way in which the mind manifests itself in various people are different. So they need to be given different type of treatment. So if a person is pursuing, let us say, knowledge, instead of pulling his mind from the world and putting in God, wherever the mind goes, that is knowledge, they deified it, they personified it as Goddess Saraswati. If a person is pursuing wealth, that is deified as Goddess Lakshmi. Similarly, success is God Ganesha, Lord Ganesha. Like that, each and every aspect of our world is divinized. Each and every aspect of our experience is divinized. So there is no way that we can escape this main purpose of life. This is a very ingenious method adopted, and it was brought into practice by our rishis. So we find that each and every aspect of our life is punctuated by rites, rituals, festival, worship of gods throughout our life. But that does not mean that there is no dearth of enjoyment, celebration, fun, frolic. This also has to be part and parcel of our life. In fact, we do practice it. Even if we look at our own way in which, let us say, when we travel in a train, there is playing, there is singing of Antakshari, all those things are there. When you go to watch a cricket match in a stadium also, they make it like a big picnic. Apart from watching the match and getting involved there, they just enjoy watching a match also. There is celebration there. Of course, not to talk about functions like marriage and other festivals. There is a lot of celebrations. Celebration must be a way of life, because the true nature of ourself, which is indicated as Satchit Ananda, the original nature of all of us is Ananda or bliss. How can that be achieved if our process or the way of life is not blissful? Therefore, each and every aspect has to be in the way of celebration. Even as we see, this is not just confined to our way of life. Everywhere, every culture, every civilization, every country, they have their own ways of celebration. We see the carnivals in Brazil. We see the celebrations in Japan and China. We see the ancient civilizations also celebrating along with the nature, change of seasons, harvesting. Various occasions are there where people celebrate. Now, celebrations has various aspects to it, fun and frolic, but we do not know, honestly, we cannot comment without knowing the full details, but the extent to which divinity and celebration is mixed and mingled, to that extent is what we see in our culture and our civilization. Whether it is there still being practiced in elsewhere, it is a question mark. We really do not know. So therefore, here is a unique way by which we are asked to celebrate. There is fun, frolic, dance, music, singing, everything is there, part of celebration. At the same time, we are also reminded that this is what is your original purpose of life also. So there is an essential aspect of those functions, festivals and celebrations, which direct us towards this. If our life is invested, if our thoughts and feelings are not invested towards celebrations, rather we choose to be more morose, depressed, and feeling very pessimistic, etc. What is actually happening is that you are inviting more and more troubles into your life, which is what we really don't want it. So there must not be, even if there is, of course, life is full of joy and sorrow, both will come, but we must not invest our feelings and thoughts more on the negative side of life at all. There should not be an excess indulgence in that. So even as we watch TV programs, mega serials, various things, if you are going to constantly watch certain things which are extremely sorrowful, extremely depressing, and negativities, and some sort of plots which are very abusive, these are the things then unconsciously we are wanting in our own lives. So that should not be the case. If you are able to objectively see a movie and move ahead, which is well and good, but there must not be any emotional investment into any form of negativity. So therefore, as a constant reminder, there is a lot of celebrations, festivities. Automatically, our thoughts are aligned towards divinity also. It not only helps us to connect with the divine, our own life also becomes more and more objective. We are able to take in positivity and negativity in an even way. See, it's interesting. There was a stock market crash in Indonesia in the late 90s. In the Southeast Asia, Indonesia was affected in particular. Overnight, millionaires became paupers because of the crash. And it was also reported that so many people died of heart attack because they could not suddenly take this shock where, suddenly there is a cash loss, or to that extent. Overnight, when it happens to many people. I mean, many people in the sense, when we see the life of people who fled Pakistan and came to India overnight in partition, how their lives changed. Like this, their life changed because of this stock market crash. And point is, there was no shock absorber fitted in them for them to take this. Now, this can happen to anybody also. It can happen to a Hindu, Muslim, or Christian. It really, that does not matter. But when you are able to, let us say, view money, wealth as Mahalakshmi, but he is still pursuing wealth. It is not that he is pursuing self-realization or something. He is still pursuing wealth and worldly desires only. But when such a crash or a shock happens for him, he will turn towards Goddess and say, why did you do it to me? And he will also get affected. But that amount of affectation is to some extent taken away by the connection with divinity. This is how unconsciously it happens. So our connection to divinity through all these gods, goddesses, festivals, rituals, ceremonies, whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not, creates an insulation in our system by which we are able to even relate to the world better. Objectivity is automatically also inculcated in our life. And later, when a person really goes into the inquiry of who this Mahalakshmi is, who this Lord Ganesha is, and once that inquiry happens, for him to make a U-turn and get into the spiritual path, it becomes even more easy, rather than for other person who has no connection of divinity to all these pursuits. So that way, it is a very very ingenious method by which this is given to us. So celebration is a must. Now, before we get into the aspect of Deepavali today, a few words on one of the greatest saints of modern India, Swami Rama Tirtha, who has a close connection to Deepavali. His birth was on 22nd October 1873, which was on the eve of Deepavali. 25th of October 1897, Swami Ramatirtha renounces the worldly life and takes up sannyas. That is also on Deepavali day. And after a very short life, at the age of 33, 17th October 1906 is his Mahasamadhi. That is also Deepavali. There seems to be a very close connection of Swami Ramatirtha's life and Deepavali. As much as people know about the great jnanis like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Ramana Maharishi, Swami Ramatirtha is not that much known. Even amongst people who are in spiritual circles, we do not know the reason. Maybe the reason is that he came like a flash of lightning, lit up the whole world. And before we could realize what was that, he just went back. So he was like a flash of lightning. That's all we can say. Of course, he is known. His works are known. He lives through the Vedanta that he taught. There is no doubt about it. But as a personality, majority of people in the world, even in India, are not aware of Swami Ramatirtha. He is one of the greatest Vedantins of the modern era. He was a great patriot, a reformer, a visionary. When he lectures in America, when he lectures in Japan, he appeals to the people there on behalf of Indians as to how they can help. He creates scholarships for them. He appeals even to the president of America at that point of time as to how Indians, how it can be, how America in its present glory can help India, which is backward materially at that point of time. He was a contemporary, as you know, of Swami Vivekananda around that time. He was a great visionary. He was, in 1900, January 1st, he says Rama makes a sacred promise that within 10 years, all the darkness from India will be wiped out, and within 50 years, it will be established to its own original glory. He makes a sacred vow or a promise, and that actually happened. The entire freedom struggle with the base of Sanatana Dharma started peaking around 1910 or so, if you read the history. And within 1950, we got the independence. And it was a very glorious period for India. What happened after that, it's a little tragic. But the fact is that he was able to, that is the Sankalpa of Swami Ramatirtha. Not only that, he cautions India about population explosion in 1900, where we cannot conceive of what the population was at that point of time, including Pakistan, Bangladesh, everything put together. It would have been less than 20 crores or something at that point of time. Yet he is warning. He is warning about overindulgence in worldly gossips in the form of newspapers. And remember, what were newspapers at that point of time? They were all, even in India, various great patriots were running newspapers where they were sharing their thoughts. But he was able to see where this newspapers and worldly news is going to take us and what is the direction that it is going to take. A great reformer in terms of redefining yajna, promoting women education, abolishing the evil that is coming out of the untouchability and caste system, various things like that. He was much ahead of his times. And the speciality of Swami Rama was that each and every aspect of Vedanta and the worldly subjects, he explained from the uncompromising point of the self or self-realization only. He explains human behavior. He explains practical Vedanta. He is able to point out how, let us say, America was progressing at that point of time. Why is Japan progressing? He is able to correlate that because of the practice of Vedanta at even the material plane. And why is India backward at that point of time? It is not because of Vedanta. It is because of lack of practical application of Vedanta. He was able to explain each and every phenomenon from this standpoint. And as a true enlightened master who realized the self, he was with one. He was able to identify with everyone. When he addresses anybody in the lectures, he used to address them as the same infinite in the form of ladies and gentlemen. Every day was an auspicious day. Every morning is a new year. Every evening is a Christmas Eve. That's what he tells the audience in America. So with his infectious smile of an innocent child, with the strong will of a young adult, a boy, he even physically he was very strong. He used to scale peaks in Himalayas barefooted. He in fact ran a marathon race also in America, just like that. And a very strong-willed person even at the physical level. He was able to captivate whatever audience he was speaking, and they were able to see their God or their prophet in him. The Hindus saw that the great apostle of Advaita, Adi Shankaracharya, has come back in the form of Swami Rama Tirtha. The religious people in America saw Christ in him. When the ship was coming through Egypt, there was a day there, and when he was lecturing there, people were moved as though prophet is speaking to them. In Japan, people saw the reincarnation of Buddha in him. He was able to fearlessly say what he wanted to say, but there was this universal love that was binding that kept everybody spellbound. Even as he was explaining the Islamic atrocities to Muslims in India, they were able to absorb and see the truth in it, and he also gave the solution as to what they must do now. Each and everyone was truly moved by that. He gives, as a young 23-year-old, he gives his first lecture on Yajna in the great Yajna Bhumi of Pushkar in Rajasthan, where he talks about how not only how the Sanatana Dharma can be maintained by the process of the spirit of Yajna, which can be adjusted to the modern times. So not only do we worship the fire that is in the kund, but also the fire that is in the factory, but also that is the fire that is in the hungry stomach of all the poor people. Each and everything can be made into a yajna fire where you can pour your ahuti into it. So like that, each and every concept, whether it is for the welfare of the nation, for the welfare of the individual development of the people, uncompromisingly from the standpoint of Vedanta, and not to talk about the highest thoughts of perception and Maya and everything, he was able to explain in his own unique way. We all know that after enlightenment, the self-realized master merges with the supreme. But why do all the masters live their life differently? He explains that with a scientific experiment also in America. So that was his uniqueness. I mean, we can go on and on about Swami Ramatirtha, but that's not the focus for the day. And ultimately, the psychologists or the psychiatrists in America, they were not able to come to terms as how such a free-spirited soul can be confined to the small body, how it is really functioning. And they were right in their assessment. At the age of 33, on the Deepavali day, he attained Mahasamadhi in Rishikesh. He never came down from Himalayas for many years before. He was just that person. He was beyond all peaks, like that it is. We are indeed thankful to our Swamiji, Swami Parthasarathi, who is inspired by Swami Ramatirtha, whose books and his works are replete with the thoughts of Swami Ramatirtha. And then Ramatirtha Pratishthan also, which is located in Lucknow, publishing the works of Swami Ramatirtha through the books and through other means that they are doing in their own way. It is through them that Swami Ramatirtha we come to know. But Swami Ramatirtha was never bothered about all these things. He says, works of Rama will be carried on by the nature, by the leaves, by the Ganga, by the flora and fauna, which actually happened. So that was Swami Ramatirtha. As I said, he was very, it was maybe coincidence, but is very well connected with Deepavali. On 17th October 1906 was his Mahasamadhi on the Deepavali day. Now, Deepavali as a festival is the grandest of all festivals for Hindus. It is the biggest. It is celebrated for various reasons, for various occasions, by various people all over the world. Last 2 decades or so, the White House and the Prime Minister's office in various countries in Europe, all of them are celebrating Deepavali in a big way. We understand primarily it is to celebrate a return of Lord Rama to Ayodhya, where people light lamps to welcome Lord Rama. See, if you look at the calendar, Uttarayana is supposed to be the daybreak for the gods, which is middle of January. Okay. And Dakshinayana, which is the middle of July, is as though sunset. So the path of the sun from north to south. So that's why it's Dakshinayana, it's called. The month before Uttarayana, Margashirsha month, is considered the holy month. So it is supposed to be the Brahma Muhurta of gods. 2 hours before sunrise, 4 to 6 is supposed to be our Brahma Muhurta. Exactly like that, each and every month is equal to 2 hours. So if you look at it that way, this month is the midnight, the darkest period. Midnight is middle of October. So you will find that right from this Dashara, then Deepavali particularly, even in Tamil Nadu, from the end of Deepavali, then the Kartik month comes, there is lighting of lamps everywhere. Sound, light, even in Bengal, you will find that Durga Puja, followed by Lakshmi Puja, Kali Puja, Jagadatri Puja, Kartik Puja. Various pujas are conducted till the Saraswati Puja in Basant Panchami Day. So there is lot of light, lot of sound, because the period itself, according to the nature in Northern Hemisphere, is more darkness, more gloomy. So therefore, to beat that, to shirk off the tamas, to bring about a celebration, a lot of festivals which are connected with light is celebrated. So Deepavali comes around that time. And the origin is said to be when Lord Rama came back to Ayodhya. Also, we see the story of Lord Krishna slaying Narakasura. We'll come back to that. Along with Satyabhama, he went and slayed Narakasura. And that is why this Chaturdashi is called as also Naraka Chaturdashi. And then he prayed to God that his death must be celebrated. And that is also there. A lot of crackers and light and that type of a celebration is there. Bali Pratipada. It is said that Mahabali, Lord in the form of Vamana, blessed Mahabali. Mahabali was a great soul. He was having various great qualities, but his ego was there. So therefore, to subdue his ego, God asked for 3 pieces of land. And the third, he could not find anywhere. So Bali offered himself is the story. And that is also coinciding with Deepavali. Onam is when we celebrate that Mahabali comes back to earth from the Loka Patala where he is there. But the blessing of Mahabali is said to be Bali Padayami also, they say, is around this time, Deepavali time. Of course, in Bengal, it is the great Kali Puja. Calcutta is named after the presiding deity here, which is Mahakali. The most fiercest form of goddess. Durga Puja is celebrated definitely in a big way. Durga Puja also has a lot of cultural and social activities associated with it. But you will find serious sadhakas, they take up Kali Puja more to their heart. The Kali Puja is celebrated in a very, very deep way, though there are pandals and there are celebrations and there are various forms of worship of Kali or Shama Puja also, they say. So in Bengal, it is celebrated as the great Kali Puja. Bandhana is a festival that is celebrated in Jharkhand and the other eastern parts of India, where cattle is worshipped. It is said that Lord Shiva blessed them with cattle and they were not taking care of cattle, and the cattle went and complained to Shiva. And Shiva is supposed to time to time check as though they are treating the cattle properly. And therefore, this is a reminder of that they worship the cattle, which helps us. The cows, the sheep, everything is worshipped. Bandhana is a festival that also coincides with Deepavali. Of course, it is grandly celebrated as Lakshmi Puja in North India. It is said that having come from the milk ocean, Mahalakshmi weds Mahavishnu. That is also on this auspicious day. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth, and therefore everybody cleans their home, makes it conducive, makes it very auspicious for Lakshmi to enter. So Mahalakshmi is definitely the chief goddess for Deepavali. In fact, in North India, they celebrate it on 5 days. Just as Pongal is only 1 day, but we also have the Bogi and the Pongal and the cattle's Mata Pongal and Kanu, like that. Deepavali is the main day, but there are other days associated with Deepavali. They have the Dhanteras, which is the 13th day. Dhanteras falls on the 13th day. God Dhanvantri is invoked on that day. Dhanvantri is the Lord of medicine. In the churning of the Milky Ocean, it is he who comes up with the Amrita at the end also. So maybe it is also connected, as we said, with this gloomy period of the season. Maybe we are prone to diseases also. So Dhanvantri is invoked on the 13th day. Then on 14th day, they celebrate as Naraka Chaturdashi. In North India, they also call it as Choti Deepavali or small Deepavali. And the main Deepavali is the Mahalakshmi Puja, where Deepavali means cluster of lights. So light is lit everywhere in various forms. It's all decoration with lights. We saw in the last few years, even in the original place where it all started, Ayodhya, it is all lit up with various lamps there. And Mahalakshmi Puja is mainly on the middle of the Deepavali. And then the next day, they celebrate as Govardhan Puja. In Krishna Lila, you know that Lord Krishna made the people offer their offerings to the Govardhan mountain to humble God Indra, who became very haughty and very egoistic. So it is said that Govardhan Puja, where Lord in the form of Govardhan mountain accepted all their offerings, that is also there. And then culminates in Bhai Dooj or Bhau Beej, where there's a celebration of brotherhood. Sisters offer their greetings to the brother, and brothers. It is something like Raksha Bandhan, but it is visiting of the brothers and sisters, and that bondage is celebrated. It is the same way that in Nepal also they celebrate it on 5 days. Tihar they call it. Maybe it is another form of Tyohar, we do not know. Worship of nature or animals. First day they worship the crow. Second day they worship dog. Third day they worship the cow. Fourth day ox. And fifth day again it's a cultural bonding of brothers and sisters. So that way it is celebrated in a very big way in Nepal. And the tilak that the sisters keep the brother, that also has a story where it is said that the great goddess Yamuna, river Yamuna, she was able to convince Lord Yama of protection of someone, where she extended her wishes to Lord Yama as her brother and put the tilak on him. And for a long time that happens. So that is also celebrated on this Deepavali day. From there only this Bhai Dooj comes is the tradition. People start the new year in the western part of India. If you see that, it is a big association with business. New accounting year, new year starts on that day. So worship of Lord Ganesha and Mahalakshmi is of very important thing. They start the financial year and start the new accounts on that day. Not only that, worship of Vishwakarma, worship of Saraswati, worship of Lord of Wealth, Kubera, and Hanuman Puja. Each and everything is done by various communities. So if you look at it that way, Deepavali is one festival which is there for all gods. It is there for all aspects of nature, all rivers. In South India, when on the early morning, when you take the holy bath, the first thing they ask when they call people and greet, they ask, first thing that they ask is, have you taken Ganga Snan today? Ganga is invoked in that water where you take bath there. So worship of rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, worship of nature, worship of animals, and then somewhere it is maybe sowing of seeds, plants. Each and everything has a very strong connection to Deepavali. Not only that, all religions also. The Jains celebrate Deepavali as the Mahanirvana day of the last Tirthankara, who is Lord Mahavira. So it is said that the knowledge in the form of Mahavira, as Mahasamadhi is gone, let us light lamp to commemorate that. The Sikh people, they celebrate Deepavali. Sixth Guru, Har Gobind Guru, in their tradition of 10 Gurus, it is celebrated as Bandi Chhod Divas. It is a tradition of late only, but when the Jahangir, the Islamic king, had captured him from the Gwalior fort, it was released and he went back and joined along with various kings. That has been celebrated, and that is also on the Deepavali day. So like this, we find even, I do not know, Buddhists also celebrate in a way that King Ashoka embraced Buddhism on this day. You will find that, therefore, it is sort of a universal festival for us. It is a all-encompassing festival for us, Deepavali. Most importantly for Vedantins, the ideal student who we refer in Upanishads to the young boy Nachiketas. Nachiketas goes to Lord Yama and he is granted 3 boons. The first by which he is satisfying his father, the second boon by which he is satisfying the society, and the third boon is where he asks for self-knowledge, Atma Vidya. Yama tests him and he is reluctant not because of anything else, that he tests that to make sure that he is the right adhikari for gaining the knowledge, and like a solid, rock solid focus Nachiketa displays, and he would not settle for anything less than Atma Vidya. Lord Yama becomes very happy and he gives the Atma Vidya, and that is the portion of Kathopanishad, the celebrated portion of the Kathopanishad. It is said that is also on this day only, that it is in the Amavasya day of Kartik month, which is where we celebrate the Deepavali. So you will find that all of us from all strata of the society, everybody has to come in a celebratory mode on this Deepavali day. As we said, Deepavali is a festival of lights. So there is joy, there is color, there is fun, there is light, there is brightness. All the moods of depression should go away. Celebration with fire is common to all cultures and all civilizations, and it is grandly celebrated because for us, not only the light represents that external light as we see, light represents the light of consciousness. Consciousness is always referred to as light of all lights. Jyotisham api tad jyotihi. That's what Upanishads say, that's what the Bhagavad Gita says. Therefore, what we must do today is not just celebrate, but in the process also remember and connect our lives to the original purpose also. Or rather, let us put it this way, each and every festival, each and every small rituals also, they have meanings at various levels. Say, for example, you say Namaste like this. Now, in the last 2 years of Corona period, we know how safe and how hygienic it is to say, greet each other rather than shaking hands. It is very well proven. So, and it's a very aesthetic and proper way to say this, Namaste like this. It is also said where you keep the hands when you worship your mother at this level of your stomach, for the father at the level of the heart, for the guru on the face, and above your head for the God. But it's all very aesthetically pleasing. Therefore, you will find that this is the starting pose of any dance also like this. So at the sentimental level, there is a meaning. But more importantly, at the philosophical level, you who are the self covered by the Panchakosha, I who am the self which is covered by this Panchakosha, is one and the same, and to that self I bow down. If this meaning is also understood, it adds a greater flavor to this. This is at the philosophical level. Similarly, when you keep a tilak or a vibhuti or a kumkum or sindoor or chandan, whatever you keep on the forehead, it has also meaning at various levels. At the aesthetic and the sentimental level, the beauty of it is unmatched. At the physical level, it is a very protective Agnya Chakra where it has to be covered like that. Those who go to hypnotists, first thing they will ask, the hypnotist will say is to remove anything that is on the forehead, because unless otherwise they are able to focus the energies there, they will not be able to take control of the other person. So if you want to really protect yourself, this mammalian mark has to be there in the forehead. These are all at some levels, but we also understand at the philosophical level, it reminds you of the self. So wherever and whenever you get involved in the job anywhere in the world also, you remember when you see others faced with this, that what is my original purpose? So each and every festival, each and every ritual is like that. The rangoli that we put in the front of the house. Kolam, they say in South India. It is actually at the physical level feeding of the insects. You have to do it with rice flour. It is feeding them. Once we don't understand this meaning, you may do it with a chemical which really defeats the purpose, which the ants cannot eat. And the whole street, when it is marked with this, such a aesthetic beauty is there. And not only that, the patterns represent the great concepts of Vedanta, where everything in the microcosm and macrocosm is interconnected with the center, which is called as Bindu. That is why you will find patterns can be many, but every Rangoli will have a dot in the center. That is like that. So at all levels, there are meanings to it. If we forget the meaning aspect of it, of course, we have to celebrate. Of course, we have to partake in all the community and other aspects of the rituals. But we have also to remind ourselves of the original philosophical meaning of it. In this, I would recommend there is a book authored by our Swamiji called The Symbolism of Hindu Gods and Rituals, where he focuses on the philosophical meaning of various gods and goddesses of Hinduism, epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, rituals like tilak and worshipping of cow and various things, and mantras like Gayatri mantra. It's a very compact book which probably every Hindu should possess to understand the meaning. With the meaning, when we do, it has a greater impact. It is not just to learn the meaning and not do anything. We have to do. It has to be practiced. The practice of all this karma helps us to cleanse our heart when you do it with the understanding. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarvam karma kilam partha jnane parisamapyate. Oh Arjuna, without exception, all the actions culminate in wisdom. When does it culminate in wisdom? When you are able to have the thought behind it and then perform the karma yoga. You have to do it. You have to perform rituals. You have to do all the actions. But when you do it with this meaning, you are able to achieve the end of it, which is culminating in wisdom. Otherwise, sometimes people who do not drink, they drink on Deepavali day. It is a holiday. People who do not gamble, they gamble on some festivals. It defeats the whole purpose. What is it and how would that tradition came, we do not know. But the celebration, in the name of celebration, it should not go to such an extent that the original purpose is defeated. Like marriage is a holy occasion, bringing of two individuals together so that they join together in the spiritual path is the most auspicious occasion of marriage. But sometimes the muhurat, or they talk about the auspicious time in which that has to happen, that itself gets missed because the bridegroom and the friends, they are all indulging in some alcohol and other activities, which is okay. Celebration is part of the marriage, but it should not go to such an extent that it defeats the original purpose of it. Like that, we need to understand the meaning behind Deepavali also. Once we do that, then it becomes more enjoyable and more colorful for us. In the story of Narakasura, he is said to rule from Pragjyotishpura. We do not know where it is. Maybe it is said in Northeast, they say. Some say in China also. We did not know. He was supposed to rule from there. And he was a Asura, a demon, who, imprisoned 16,000 damsels from heaven. And Lord Krishna went. They were all obviously very frustrated. Lord Krishna went, defeated Narakasura, slayed him, and then released all the 16,100 damsels. And it is said that he himself married all of them. This is the story behind it. And then Narakasura prays before his death to Krishna that his death has to be celebrated in a big way with sound and lights. Krishna grants that boon. And so what people do is that people, rich or poor, everybody buys a new dress on the Deepavali day. There is throughout the night, there is bursting of crackers and lighting of lamps. Throughout the night, like a battlefield, it is there. Early in the morning, in the dawn, you take bath in the holy water. And then everybody wears the new dress. Then they eat sweets. Sweets is also very important. And then they greet each other, visit friends. This is the general ritual for Deepavali. visiting relatives and other. So what does it signify? The 16,100 damsels represent the thoughts in a human being which remains frustrated if it is controlled within the egoistic mind. Egoistic mind is represented here by Narakasura. So the Lord is able to release the thought once the ego is decimated. So the thoughts get sublimated to higher. One should not suppress or frustrate the thoughts, but one should sublimate them. And that happens, that is symbolized by slaying of the negativities in us. And Lord Krishna slaying Narakasura is equivalent of that. So the thoughts merge with the Lord, as it were. So this is the philosophical significance of it. And then the bursting of the crackers and the big sound and light show, it is a continuous battle in the night of darkness. We are in ignorance, and there is a constant fight with that ego, constant fight with the negative tendencies, constant fight with the darkness or tamas. This is represented by the bursting of crackers and various things that we do on the night. Then the early morning dawn, what does it represent? It represents the dawn of knowledge. And the actual taking bath in Ganga is representative of this person immersed in the knowledge, and he comes out as enlightened. That is why even as people go to Ganga, they immerse themselves 3 times to say, I am not this body, mind or intellect, I am the self. So that enlightenment is represented by the holy bath of Ganga. And then the new dress represents the transformed personality that you are. You are a transformed personality now. The erstwhile vestures are all removed, and the new vesture of the self, the supreme self, is what you wear. The bliss is represented by eating of sweets. The Ananda, ultimate Ananda is, and then the visiting of the relatives is sharing of the new vision. Once you, so what happens what is the difference between a Jnani's vision and a Ajnani's vision? Ajnani's vision is to see differentiations and demarcations everywhere. Rather, a Jnani's vision is to see the unity everywhere. In that unity, there is only mirth, joy, and laughter. So if we are able to understand like this and then get into the celebration, it adds much more flavor to our celebration. Rather, in the last few years or decades also, we see that this type of celebration is not that prevalent. Of course, advent of television and various other things also have added to it. But we must not lose the spirit of it. So there has to be a grand celebratory mode with sound and light in this Deepavali. Now, also we need to just mention, of course, this is a talk based on the point of view of Vedanta with reference to Deepavali festival. But we cannot deny that any civilization is sustained by practicing society, practicing individuals. Otherwise, we see certain civilizations now like in museum only. People can go to Egypt and see pyramids and various other things there. But what it is for, why it is so, that is not a continuous living civilization. Like the Greek civilization had various gods, festivity, celebration. Where is all that? Certain things are appropriated and presented in a different way, like they say for even Christmas also. Let us not get into it. But what is it that sustains a civilization is the dharma practiced by the individual. We see in our own lifetime how without a land, when Tibetans are there, that civilization of Tibet is disintegrating. Where if people are not there, if the land is not there, if the celebration is not there, if the connectivity is not there like that, it will be lost. It will be there in maybe computer or books, and it will be a subject of PhD later on. That's about all. But it has to be a living tradition. It has to be a living, and of all the civilizations of the past, probably ours is the only thing which is sustained and surviving somehow in the original traditional glory in a way that it is there. But we cannot deny there is a sustained attack on it also from various forces which are inimical to this. So each and every, see, one has to definitely, our way of life is that it's aligned with nature. When we say we worship cattle, we worship sun god, we worship rivers, it is this mutual coexistence which marks our way of life. It is not man who is sitting at the top of pyramid where everything else is treated as a slave. Nature is not for man to exploit. This mutual coexistence is very much part and parcel of our culture, and that we may have to sustain, and that is what it is. But we see that one has to be careful, definitely with the environment, with everything. There is no doubt about it. But disproportionately, noises will be raised in celebration of Hindu festivals. It is a fact that one cannot deny. If it is Deepavali, it has to be crackerless Deepavali campaign will be there. If it is Holi, waterless Holi, this Holi, whatever Holi, I do not know. Shivaratri, don't waste milk on Shivalinga. It is waste like that. Durga Puja, they write very unspeakable articles on the goddess Durga in some form or the other, because when you come together, celebrate as a community, and that is where it is. So any civilization is broken not from external forces, but from the weakness that is created from within. And unless otherwise this weakness is exploited, it will not happen. So we need to, okay, you can be careful. We are not saying this is the only way of celebration, but the coming together and the celebratory mode must be kept alive. You celebrate in your own way. It doesn't matter. It's a way. But because a person, this type of thing that applies to, see, in Christmas, of course, if the tree is cut, we are not saying anything against it, but that's part of the tradition. If it is cut, it is celebrated. Say, well and good, you decorate the Christmas tree and other thing. In Bakrid, there will be, let's say, slaughter of goats and other thing. That is their form of worship, their faith. It's okay. But you will find that universally the noise that is raised against. But the point is, the same people, they do it when an IPL match is there, when a World Cup win is there. There is sound and light show in a very big way. For every Kabaddi match, it is there. For every July 4 in American Independence Day, it is there. In every form of weddings of those celebrities who talk against this, there, that is also there. Now, what I'm trying to say is, we are not getting into a political talk here. You have to understand and not go on a confrontational basis, but you try to sustain, maintain the Dharma in your own way, then in the way that it should get passed on to the next generation with this understanding. So this understanding must be there. For those who are interested, they can always, even this Indica Moksha or India Facts, that their website, they have very many detailed and well-researched articles on all these things. That is a matter of detail, and you need to know and understand what is the theme behind it. But from our point, we need not get into the even that, but from our side positively, we can get into that celebratory mode, maintaining the tradition, understanding the philosophical value of it. Then we will be celebrating Deepavali in the grandest way. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Kindly remain logged on for a couple of minutes for a few announcements. Sunanda ji, internationally renowned speaker, daughter disciple of eminent spiritual guide Swami Parthasarthi, will be delivering a series of talks over 4 days on Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 titled Action is Worship. This Gita Yajna, hosted by Vedanta Institute Kolkata, will be held online from 1st to the 4th of December 2022. Registration details will be shared via email, WhatsApp, Telegram, and through our social media to our registered participants and followers. Those interested may register on our website. The link is in the chat. Vedanta Institute Kolkata is a charitable trust. The primary objective of the trust is to disseminate the timeless values of Vedanta through study classes, group discussion, corporate sessions, and public discourses. Those who wish to contribute may donate to the trust using this link. The link is in the chat. Vedanta Institute Kolkata conducts weekly online classes on sacred texts like Atma Bodha, Vedanta Treatise, and Bhagavad Gita for adults, and V-Kids Satsang for children. Those interested may register on our website, vedanta-kolkata.org. Weekly study classes and public talks conducted by Shri L. Ramaswamy are available on our YouTube channel, Guru Kripa Vedanta. Timestamps given under each video help the audience to navigate easily to relevant portions. Stay connected and updated with future Vedanta Institute Kolkata activities through our social media handles. We appreciate Indika Moksha for co-hosting this talk. We thank Shri L. Ramaswamy for today's talk. On behalf of Vedanta Institute Kolkata, we thank the organizers, those who helped us in every way, and all the participants who logged in from different locations. Thank you.